Hello, my name is McKenna Roberts, and this is my presentation on multilingual word walls. So what is a multilingual word wall? According to Seelig and Seltzer, these word walls typically consist of a list of words that have been introduced in the classroom. I like to explain it as a wall of words that include vocabulary words that are used within the classroom environment, whether it be everyday vocabulary words or content area specific vocabulary words. And these word walls will have words in English as well as any of the other languages spoken in the classroom, and pictures and other visual aids to help students learn and become comfortable with the words in this classroom. My first example of how to implement a multilingual word wall into my classroom is to introduce content area specific vocabulary. And so a lot of times I see word walls with English side by side with other languages, along with photos and other visual aids so that students can learn the words, and especially if a classroom is learning a specific content area such as maybe addition, there will be words such as addition or sum or addend in English and any of the other languages so that these students can become comfortable with the content area vocabulary. In this elementary school example on the left hand, I have a word wall that is describing the vocabulary for the days of the week. And so on the left side is the Spanish and on the right side is the English. And I know for me, while I was learning Spanish as my second language, being able to see it in English and Spanish was very helpful for me to make the connection between what the words meant and what the words were. And on the right side I have a picture of a word wall of cognates, which I think is also important to help students understand that there are a lot of similarities between languages, especially languages like Spanish and English. And I believe that these cognates are important to know because students can catch on to them quicker since they are very similar to English. And here I have a word wall for my high school example. I love how this word wall is split into 3 columns, one being just general classroom words. This is a math classroom, so it has words like line, fraction, decimals, just words that will be used in any kind of math content. The middle are academic words, so there's words such as third, fourth, fifth, explain, calculate, solve. So these are a little bit more math specific. And then on the right side we have algebra words, so these are specific to the algebra content area, such as addition, variable, radical. All of these words are important for the students to know as they learn algebra, and I love how this is broken up and visually organized for the students. For my second example, I think it's important to allow students to add to the board. If there are words that students would like to know how to say, I think it would be great for students to learn the translations and add them to the wall so they can continue to look back at the wall anytime they need to say it. I saw an example of this with a student of mine who had asked how to use English to ask someone to be friends, and so I think it's important to allow students to pick what words are going to be useful to them in the classroom and add it to the wall so they can reference back to it. This picture is of my elementary school example. This word wall is split into categories based on the first letter of the word, which I think is also a great visual way to organize a word wall. But I love how the student is adding to it and interacting with the word wall. And for my high school example, these students are adding words to their winter vocabulary list. I think this is great because if the students ever want to use the vocabulary, they can just look back and see what they've written here to talk about anything to do with winter. And my last example is to allow students to actively interact with the wall. I think it's important that students continue to refer back to the wall in their writing, speaking, and reading. I think it's also important that the teacher incorporates the wall into their lessons so that it doesn't just become a part of the classroom, but it's used as an interactive tool to engage the students and is something that they can look back to and use every day. So here I have a link to a video of an elementary school using a word wall. This classroom in the video is not a bilingual class, I don't believe. So the students are just using a regular word wall to help in their projects and their classwork, but I do believe that this would be a really helpful tool and way to use the word wall even in those bilingual classrooms with the added step of having the translations and pictures. But I loved how in this video the students were actually interacting with the wall and using it in their project. And this is a video from my high school example as well. I also love how these students are interacting with the wall and using it in their work.